What is up, guys, and welcome back to our channel. Today I want to do a birth story Q&A for our second surrogacy delivery. This journey was amazing and it was so memorable and special, and in reading through a lot of the comments and messages, you guys had some questions just on how labor and delivery works as a surrogate, and you just wanting to know a few more details about our specific delivery for the surrogacy journey. So let's dive right in. I kind of have them categorized or in order, but let's do this. First question, how does birth work with GCs, which is gestational care, and IPs, birth plan final decisions? So when it comes to labor and delivery, as a surrogate, you have the final say with the discretion of your doctor on how delivery works or how you want to deliver. I love considering the desires of my intended parents because I want them to feel as if they're going through this journey as closely as they can, as if it was their own journey. So what do they desire in a delivery? Do they want to be involved? Do they not want to be involved? Do they prefer to be in the room or outside of the room? And so as a surrogate, you decide the delivery decisions, but on an intended parent side, they decide anything that relates to baby. So cutting baby's cord, do they want to? Do they delay clamping? Do they do skin to skin? Do they want their own room? Stuff like that. So you work together to create a birth plan, and then on delivery day, I share my desires as far as it goes with labor, and then they share their desires about baby. Someone asked, did you do your makeup beforehand? I don't know if I did makeup, but I always have my lashes on because that's one thing that, even though I'm looking a hot mess right now at 2 weeks postpartum, I still look pretty decent, right? Because I have lashes on. I did do my hair because I knew I wanted pictures and wanted to get content, and it was just something where I could prioritize me, even though I was about to physically do a lot of work to deliver. I don't remember if I put blush. I may have done chapstick, but honestly I think I just had my lashes, and I did do my hair though. Why induction? So a couple of reasons. The main reason is I chatted with my doctor, chatted with Jake and Kinsey too, and I said, here's the deal. I've never made it in all of my deliveries past 39 weeks. So if I get to that 39-week mark, I'm not gonna be well mentally to just keep going. I don't do well where I don't have an end goal, an end time. This whole oh, we'll see when baby comes, I just would not do well. So I said, is there a way that at 39 weeks, I can be induced? And my doctor was like, yeah, absolutely. And we hoped that I would go into labor sooner, but I didn't. And so at 39 weeks, I was induced. But also with IVF pregnancies, they don't like you to go past your due date or go long in general because they really want to monitor it. IVF is considered more of a high-risk pregnancy than a normal pregnancy. And so my doctor was fine with it. And also Jake and Kinsey were fine with it because at that point, I'm tired, I'm ready to get this baby out of me. They're ready to meet their child. The doctor is probably ready to move on with her other labor and deliveries. That mutually, it was just the best decision for us. I've had Pitocin with all of my deliveries, and so I'm used to that. It was induced last journey with belly button number 1, and so it wasn't something new for me, but induction was just something that we all kind of decided. And then I did get the question, induction versus spontaneous. So with the kiddos, with our kids, I went into labor spontaneously. So I started contracting. I was having those contractions at home. They were 5 minutes apart. I went in and ended up being admitted. They did give me Pitocin to keep me going, to keep my contractions growing and to progress me. But with going in for induction, it's the weirdest feeling because you're going in there completely normal, having a few Braxton Hicks, but not having those steady contractions. And then all of a sudden they start you on IV, start you on Pitocin, and then you're contracting. It's the strangest thing, but also kind of cool. I don't know. And then another question is, how is it different from induction versus natural? So like I said, I've had Pitocin for all of them, and so I'm used to Pitocin contractions. When you get Pitocin, it does, for at least for me, it kickstarts my labor and just progresses me so quickly that they're stronger, they're faster. It really gets you going in that laboring, where I feel like going more spontaneous labor, I don't know, because I've had Pitocin for all of them. I would imagine it's more of a slower process to get into labor rather than with the Pitocin, it just really jump starts it. If that answers the question, kind of, hopefully. Who all was in the room? So Jake and Kinsey were in town, obviously. Dan was there, and then both of their moms were in town. And so after talking, we all decided, I'm an open book, and I really try to take the considerations of my intended parents into what they desire, and I want them to be involved at the level that they desire to. And so they were like, are you okay with us both in there? I'm like, absolutely. when I'm in labor, I'm in the zone, I'm doing my thing. So whoever wants to be in there, I don't care. But if I need you to rub my back, you need to rub my back. If I need some water, you gotta give me some water. But Dan, Jake, and Kenzie were both in there for the entire thing. So we were admitted at 5 a.m. until 1:49 when I delivered. But then Jake's mom and Kenzie's mom were also in the room, which was super special, and they had been in town visiting, and so it was great to just have them continue to be a part of the process. So they were there from the time we admitted until active labor, because that active labor, when I was a 6, dilated, the nurses and doctor locked the door, and so no one can come in from the hall while like the commotion's all going on. And so they stayed in the room up until that point, and then they went into the waiting room. That way it could just be me, Dan, Jake, and Kenzie enjoying that moment together. But also there wasn't a ton of room in there once all the nurses were in there, my doctor, and so it was probably good that we had the mom step out. But yeah, everyone was able to enjoy as much as they could. Deciding factor on getting an epidural: why did you not do it in your before labors, and why did you get it this time? If you followed along on the journey, I shared several times how I was just so nervous for labor and delivery this time. I don't know why. I don't know if it was because I really wanted everything to go well. I wanted everything to be smooth. I wanted to be healthy. I wanted baby to be healthy. The unknowns in labor and delivery are like debilitating, because you don't know when you're gonna go into labor. What if something happens? What if something's wrong with baby? What if there's just so much that could go quote unquote wrong, that for whatever reason this 4th time I had way more fear and anxiety. I went forward in prayer at church because I just needed like some peace, and I needed like just like the Lord to just surround me with this like comfort and just trust and faith that it's gonna be okay. In my previous labors and deliveries, I was excited to go through the laboring process and to like birth and to feel those like contractions and this pain. But for this one, I was not. So I just made a last minute decision. I mean, I had been thinking through about it and thinking through like the pros and the cons and considering it, but I did not make my final decision until the nurse asked me. And even when she asked me, I was like, I don't know. And I'm kind of getting into a few of the other questions, but I was like, can I still change positions and do this? And does it affect baby and whatnot? And so right then I was like, okay, let's do it. And I just decided to. I really wanted some peace. I really wanted to enjoy the laboring process, because when I deliver without an epidural, I've delivered 3 times without an epidural, and I just get in the zone, and I can't fully like comprehend what's going on because it's so much pain that, yeah, for whatever reason, I did decide to do it. And I think it was just, I was scared. I had a lot of fear of the pain, but the epidural was amazing. 10 out of 10 recommend. So pros and cons to the epidural. So I asked the nurse, I said, can I still move around and change positions? Because I don't want to lay in this bed and this be like a 20-hour labor where we're all just like waiting and nothing's happening. I'm not progressing. I'm not about that. I said, can I still change positions? She said, yes. I said, awesome. She's like, you can't be on your feet, but like in bed. I'm like, I'm game for that. The second thing was, I said, does it affect baby? Because if I don't have the epidural, I'm gonna have to get some sort of pain meds, which is fentanyl, to take the edge off. But if I get the fentanyl, does that affect baby? And she said yes. So IV meds will affect baby, and they have to do extra monitoring on baby to make sure that that is not making their heart rate drop or, you know, compromising them in their health. But when you do an epidural, it just goes straight to you. And I was like, okay, well, 100% then, like, let's do the epidural, because either way I'm gonna need some sort of pain meds. So the epidural, because it doesn't affect baby, that's what I decided on. Now, cons with recovery, it is a little bit longer recovery with the epidural versus delivering without an epidural. You can get up, walk around right away. You are more sore. I tore more when I didn't have an epidural, but when I had the epidural, I wasn't able to get up and walk around for like several hours. How did the epidural feel in the process? I was so scared for this too, but it wasn't bad at all. I hate needles, so that's why I was scared of it, because, you know, thinking about all that happening. But it was like a quick process, maybe like 14 minutes total. You sit on the edge of the bed and you hunch over like you're, I don't know, cupping your belly, and they go, it's actually, I thought it was so low, like on like your underwear line, but they actually, it's like a third of the way up on your spine. They do a shot of lidocaine to numb it. It feels like a bee sting, and it's just uncomfortable, but it like numbs you. And then you just feel a lot of pressure, and that's them sticking, I wanted to say he called it a catheter. They like feed the catheter in you and then like leave that in you. So it's not like a needle that's in your back, it's like really thin tubing, but they feed that in, and that's just like a lot of pressure. That's when I got nauseous, like so nauseous, and I was like, got dizzy and felt like I was gonna pass out. And so the nurse fanned the isopropyl alcohol wipe in front of my nose to help with my nausea, and that like takes your nausea away like instantly. It's crazy. But Dan was helping me hunch over. The nurse was like putting her arm on my shoulder, and I like laid my head on her arm to like rest my head while I'm like, she's got the throw it back under my mouth. But I was like talking to Dan throughout it. And then even the anesthesiologist, he was like, so how long have you lived here? And I was like, I know what you're doing. I see through your tactics. You're trying to distract me and it's kind of working. He just like laughed. But he explained the whole procedure. He said sometimes we have to redo it, so if we do have to, I'll let you know, but it'll be a quick thing. And honestly, it was quick for that like temporary quick pain. For not feeling the pain during labor, I'll take that any day. Did I labor on my back? So that was one of the questions. Can I change position? So I was on my back for some of it, but I was laying on my right side with the peanut ball, my left side with the peanut ball. They'd sit me up a little bit, because I just wanted baby to continue to progress. So every 30 minutes I changed positions, but when I actually delivered, I was, I guess, kind of considered on my back with my legs up. How long after you started pushing did baby come out? 10 seconds, maybe? It was probably, in reality, 30 or 45 seconds. If you watch the timestamps actually on the birth story, the birth vlog, wait, I did talk about it in the birth story, but the birth vlog is coming. But on my short form content on TikTok or Instagram, I did like timestamps of delivery day. So at 1:33:34, I was 9.5 centimeters. And that is when the nurse left to go get the doctor and to get all the nurses to prep the room for delivery. And I had her at 1:49. So 15 minutes from when the nurse went to get the doctor to the time I had the baby. And yeah, whenever it was time to push, the nurse or doctor told me how to hold my legs. Jake held one leg, Dan held the other, and she was like, okay, push, count to 10, and then I stopped, and then she said, okay, do a half push, and then she like checked to make sure baby, and then I finished that push, and then babe was out. So it was like 2.5 pushes, 3 pushes, 2 pushes. It was very quick. Everyone was shocked, but in my world with my epidural, it went by so slow. It was the craziest thing. Someone asked, do we get to see anyone's reaction during the delivery process? So Jake, Kinsey, Dan, and I, we all agreed to not film during active labor. We just wanted to fully enjoy the moment and not have cameras rolling. For one, just to focus on me and baby and to let them have their moment and not have, you know, the cameras like right in their face. Also, Dan was holding me, and I was in the zone that I wouldn't be able to film. I know that one of the nurses got pictures for them, but that's something that they just want to keep private just for them. Did Kinsey watch at the foot of the bed or catch the baby? And then someone was asking with skin to skin. So this is something that you decide in your birth plan, and we talked with our doctor about this in the weeks prior. How will this work? Because Kinsey did desire to do skin to skin with baby right away, but she also wanted to help catch baby if that was possible. And so it's kind of a tricky thing, because with baby coming out fast and baby being slippery, and also no one knows how the actual delivery will go. We can anticipate how it will go and we can make a plan, but it may go completely different. And so with our doctors advising and Kinsey's desires, our doctor decided that she can help catch, but that she can't hold baby right away, because in order to like cut the cord and do delayed clamping and stuff, baby needs to be set somewhere. And so they did put like a blanket on my lower abdomen that right after she was able to help the doctor kind of catch, it went quickly. They laid baby on my lower abdomen, and then Kinsey just came around and like hugged her baby girl right away and was just kind of laying her head on her, I think, or just touching her. I can't remember. It happened so fast. But she was like right there with baby, and then Jake came around and cut the cord like while it finished pulsing, and then immediately, like within seconds, they took baby straight to their room, which was just right next door. And I think they did probably vitals really quickly on baby, and then did skin to skin. So she had her skin to skin just like minutes after delivery, but she was able to be a part of the delivery process, which was just so cool, I think, for her to experience and to like see and watch her baby coming into the world. Someone asked, did you poop? And honestly, I need to ask Dan because I don't think I did. I don't remember anyone saying that I did. Maybe I should ask Kinsey because she was down there, but Dan was looking, I think he was looking too. I pooped for all 3 of my previous deliveries, so I would be shocked if I didn't this time, but maybe that's the pro to the epidural. I don't know, that I just had more control over my pushing and that I didn't. So I'm gonna go ahead and say I didn't poop. Thank you. That's on the record. Did you physically give baby to IPs? So I think this is what people think as a surrogate, like you physically are like, here is your baby. That's not what happens. Like I didn't even touch baby until hours later when they came to my postpartum room, Jake and Kinsey, and like let me hold her. But it's not like I'm physically like, oh, here's your baby. Generally in all, depending on delivery and journeys, every journey is different. But for mine, I never had that skin to skin time with baby. I never held baby right after delivery because it's not my baby. They have their mom, they have their dad, that's their moment. And that's for them to share and them to soak in right away. And so baby was on me in a sense to like get the cord cut and stuff, but then right away nurse or doctor took baby. I don't even know. I was looking at Dan like, oh my gosh, we did it. They're the ones that kind of like give baby to them. And so it's not a process of me physically being like, here's your baby. And that's what like people ask, is it hard to go through labor to give the baby away? And I think when they think of it in a physical way where I'm literally like, this is your baby, and that's probably more so how it is with adoption, where the birth mother does have that moment with the child and then is physically like, here's your baby. That can be hard emotionally and mentally and physically to hand their baby over. But as a surrogate, you don't do that. And I think that helps so much with the emotions and with just like wrapping your mind around everything mentally, that it's not our baby to give away. We're like giving back their baby. They're taking their baby back because it's not mine to give, if that makes sense. So not physically giving, and no, it wasn't hard because you know from the beginning when you first get pregnant that it's not your baby. It's their baby, and like I said, you're just giving their baby back to them. Did Jake and Kinsey get their own room? Yes, they were able to have one next door. I want to say last journey our intended parents didn't get one down in delivery. I think it depends on the availability of rooms, but they did in postpartum. And so same with postpartum, they had a room right next to us that they stayed with baby, and then I had my postpartum room, but we were like right around each other. Someone asked, why didn't you breastfeed the first few hours if you were pumping anyways? So when it comes to like delivering a surrogate baby, I would say for the most part, most of the journeys, I do know of one where the intended mother was okay with the surrogate nursing baby right away. And her reasoning was, she's carried baby for 9 months. I really want baby to get that nutrients right away. And her nursing one time is not gonna take away the closeness that, even because I haven't had 9 months with the baby, that this one more act of something that she's doing is not going to be the like turning point of baby not connecting with me. And I've seen now he's, oh my gosh, is he 2? Yeah, he's 2 now, and their bond is amazing. Like as a mom, like her bond with her son is amazing, and you would have never guessed that he didn't like latch to her right away, but yet he latched to his surrogate. And so I see kind of both sides, but usually because the intended mother does that skin to skin, like it's not typical for a surrogate to nurse right away. But I was pumping because I always produce, and I'll get into the pumping side of things in a different episode, but mom was having that skin to skin time. And actually, I'm not gonna talk about it too much, but Kinsey was doing supplemental nursing, which she talked about on her page, where you have a little tube that you tape to your nipple and it goes into a bottle, and baby will actually latch to her and feed that way through the tube. And so she was able to have that moment, which was just so special for her to be able to connect with her baby girl like that. But she did have defrosted breast milk or like the colostrum that I pumped prior to, and then I think they did formula right after that, but they like switched between the colostrum and the breast milk that I was able to pump while I was in the hospital, and formula. But yeah, they had the moment. And so no, babe never came to me to feed, but always to mama. Postpartum epidural versus without. So postpartum without the epidural, I would say I love that you can move around right away. I feel like it is a little bit more of a quicker healing process, but because I tore so much on my last delivery, that was more painful to like go to the bathroom to heal downstairs. But what I'm finding hard this journey with my postpartum recovery is, and I think it's because of the epidural, I'm gonna send a message to my doctor, but my lower back is just so sore and achy, almost like I bruised my tailbone. Like even pushing on my lower back right now is just like sore. I feel like I need a deep tissue massage or like a massage gun. That's a good idea. I need to have Dan massage my back tonight. But I just feel like I need this like deep massage, and it's just kind of like, ugh. But I haven't been taking ibuprofen every day because I just don't really need it and I don't want to rely on that. But I'm just noticed that if I'm up and moving around a lot, my back is sore. Whenever I go to sit down in bed or lay down in bed, I'm like, ah, oh, it's just kind of like feeling. But, and then I couldn't get up right away. So I got the epidural at 8:45-ish in the morning on the 24th, so on delivery day. The next morning at around 4 a.m. when I got up in the middle of the night to pee, I could walk on it. So almost 24 hours until I could walk on it, or walk on, like utilize my feet. My legs were still numb prior to that, which is that one chair that I was standing up in where I was like waving and people were like, what is happening? I had to be carried to the bathroom because I couldn't walk. And that was one of the questions. How soon after an epidural could you get up and walk? For me, almost 24 hours after I got it. The hardest part of surrogacy. I would say the hardest part of surrogacy is, oh, this is a tough one, twofold. I don't like shots. Shots are like my least favorite thing. So I would say the progesterone shots were my least favorite, but the hardest part of surrogacy would probably be carrying the mental load of a journey and wanting everything to go well and to just be perfect for the intended parent's sake. Like, although there's so much you don't have control on when it comes to like, did the embryo stick? How's your betas? You know, and then how delivery goes. Like, there's just, every pregnancy and delivery is different. And especially with surrogacy or like IVF process, there's so much you don't have control on, but yet you feel that weight of wanting to do everything right and wanting everything to be perfect because you want a healthy baby for the intended parents at the end of it, that carrying that mental weight can be hard and just a lot at times. Hardest part of delivery. I don't know. There's not really a hard part. There is a hard part because if you don't get the epidural, that is hard work. If you do get the epidural, I would say the epidural insertion was the hard part, but that wasn't even hard. I don't even know if I can consider like what part of delivery is hard. The recovery probably, but overall, I don't know. I don't know if I can categorize any of it hard. I loved the laboring process. I loved this journey with the epidural and not feeling the pain. It was crazy though, because I could still feel the contractions. I just couldn't feel the pain of the contractions. So I was thankful. But hardest part of delivery, probably just the waiting game, honestly. Waiting for delivery and just, when will you deliver? You're admitted and you're induced, but when is the actual time that you will deliver? Thankfully, my active labor was only an hour and a half. Praise Jesus. Did you ever wish it was your baby after delivery? No. Again, we knew going into this process that this baby wasn't ours, that this baby was for Jake and Kenzie, and really getting to know them and our close relationship with them helped make that way more meaningful and enjoyable, knowing that we were doing it for them. Like, these friends that we have now, and these, like, I feel like family, that we're doing this for them. I will say, Dan and I, after like we got to see her, she has the darkest head of hair and I think dark eyes, I don't know. But the dark hair alone, we looked at each other and we're like, this is how we would have thought the Ember would look, because I had dark hair. But when I was born, I didn't have dark features, but our Ember was like so fair-skinned, light hair, which is probably more Dan when he was born, and Kanan looked more like me when I was born. But we just pictured Ember to be this like dark-haired little munchkin, almost like the little girl from Monsters Inc. Boo. That it was kind of crazy like seeing her, but it was so cute because we're like, she looks like Kenzie, but then you could see like Jake in her. It was like so crazy, and she was so darn cute that yeah, we never wished that it was our baby, but it was just so weird to like look at him and be like, this is what we thought Ember would look like. I mean, she's not ours, but the dark hair. And so it was kind of like crazy. But no, I do not want a newborn baby to take care of right now. I'm barely taking care of myself and my own children right now. That to have another baby, love babies and children are a blessing from the Lord, but in this season, we did not want baby and we did not want her to be ours. She has her mommy and daddy, so we don't need another baby. Would you ever do a home birth? I considered it last journey before like kind of coming up with a birth plan with intended parents, but I don't think I would. I used to be open to it, but because there's so many unknowns with labor and delivery, I like to be at the hospital setting should something go wrong, but also on a surrogacy standpoint and more like logistics standpoint, intended parents pay for all the medical bills. So they're already, if something happens in labor and delivery at a home birth or a birth center and they're gonna have to go to the hospital anyways and accrue more expenses, then why would they pay for a home birth like a midwife or a midwife at a birth center and then have to pay another deductible at a hospital? Because generally midwives or like birth centers are cash pay only. So if they're paying like a chunk of change for this and then have to pay for the hospital, like that just doesn't make sense. And you kind of want the doctors there if it's an emergency situation. And so on a surrogacy standpoint, I would not, for the sake of the intended parents, and just like overall don't want to mess with that. But also on my own, I'm all for the epidurals now. I'm not gonna be delivering again, 99.9% sure, but I'm team epidural, so gotta have that in the hospital. Anyways, I also have some postpartum questions, which I'm gonna do that in another episode whenever I talk about how my postpartum recovery and healing and mental, emotional state has been. So I'm gonna answer those later, but I hope this cleared the air up on some of the questions that you had, and hope you guys have a good day, a good night. I'm gonna go kiss my kiddos goodbye, pray for them, and next up is our birth vlog. Stay tuned as we document our delivery day for Belly Button number 2.